podcast show for business owners and managers who are passionate about developing people and growing a successful business. And now here's your host, Alistair Booth from the HR Booth.
Welcome to our latest podcast. Delighted to be joined by Michelle Fennick from DYW Scotland today. Very topical at the moment as the Scottish school exam results are due out on Tuesday of this week. And there's a big campaign with DYW on No Wrong Path. And what we're delighted to do today is to get some of Michelle's time just to speak a little bit more about that campaign, but more importantly, a little bit more about DYW. So great opportunity just to kind of have Michelle present with us for some time today. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you very much. Delighted to be here, Alistair.
Good, thank you. And thanks again for taking some time out your busy schedule. I know how busy you are and for fitting us in at short notice. So thanks for joining, and I'm sure the viewers and audience will enjoy hearing what you've got to say today.
Good
stuff. So really informal today, Michelle. What I wanted to do was basically just find out a little bit more about your role at DYW, find out a little bit more about what DYW has to offer. I can explain a little bit more about the kind of work that we've been doing at the HR booth as well. If there's anything on that you want to kind of chat to me about, happy to kind of share your experience on that. What I do know about you is that obviously you're the kind of head of national projects. You've told me off air that you're kind of hardcore DYW 9 years in the organisation. So quite keen just to kind of talk us through your journey, if that's okay, how you got involved, how the roles evolved, and anything specific you want to share with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been part of developing the workforce since the start, really, since 2014. So it did start as Scotland's youth employment strategy back in 2014. And I've always had a keen interest in youth employment. So my previous work prior to being in DYW, I did work in hospitality for quite a significant period of time. So very customer focused. But really what took my interest when I was working in hospitality was the learning and development side of things, and how people come into work, whether they are at the start of their careers, the middle, coming towards the end, like really winding up for retirement. But for me, what took an interest was that journey that young people take, and that first step into the world of work. And that interest in learning and development progressed into me working for an apprenticeships organisation. And then from there, I moved into youth employability and then made that step over to developing the young workforce. So yeah, been around with DYW since the start.
Brilliant. So a lot of change during that time, I bet, which has been quite interesting. So yeah, good. Always find as well, we work with quite a lot of employers, Michelle, and always kind of found the younger people that have had like hospitality experience always kind of tend to go on and do quite well, because you're used to building up their social skills, interpersonal skills, probably building up a little bit of resilience, good customer service, and good kind of focus around that. So that's certainly our experience of seeing people that hospitality background kind of go on and kind of have a good career, actually. So that's really pleased to hear that's where you started as well. So that's interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good. So I'll quickly just kind of talk a little bit about our experience before kind of getting into some questions. So kind of mentioned off air as well. So I sit on the board of DYW 5, been on that board for a number of months now. But kind of prior to that, the HR booth, we have worked quite extensively with some of the schools in 5, supporting some of the programs in schools around preparing young people for the world of work. So that's included things like myself and the team coming in and doing CV writing, interview skills, kind of mock interviews, how to write a cover letter, and all that kind of thing. And we've kind of found that quite rewarding over the time that we've been doing that. And we've also then got involved with some of the DYW coordinators in schools, kind of doing things around promoting any vacancies at any of their career fairs that they might have. So whether that's our own vacancies or probably more likely that of our kind of clients, and kind of just showing them the different kind of pathways that are available. And my kind of, I suppose, passion around that kind of came about when I started my career. So I'm going back quite a bit as well here, Michelle, but I kind of started off as a skill seeker, which replaced the old youth training scheme back in the day. So that was a job at Babcock at the Scythe Dockyard. And it's probably equivalent to like a modern apprenticeship in today's terms, because it was a 2-year skill seeker program. What was supposed to happen was 6 months in different departments, and then you would do like an SVQ. At that point, it was through what's now Fife College. So I was quite fortunate when I kind of landed in that role. My first placement at Babcock was in the personnel department, which is now HR. And I was really fortunate. The HR manager in there saw something in me that I didn't get to spend the 6 months in any other departments. I did my full 2 years in the personnel department.
Okay.
And then at the end of that, managed to secure a kind of permanent position and progress my career that way. So I look back on the Skill Seeker programme quite fondly, and that's kind of why we've been quite passionate as a business around promoting things like the modern apprenticeships, foundation apprenticeships, and graduate apprenticeship schemes. So we're really proactive with a lot of our, kind of clients that we work with. And even in our own business, we've taken on apprenticeships ourselves at the HR booth, and our very first employee actually was a modern apprenticeship, and we were able to kind of tap into some funding through Fife Council for that, which just allowed me to take that first step, bringing on an employee, and the wage costs associated with that. There was a little bit of kind of support and funding, so we absolutely kind of make our clients aware of the benefits of apprenticeships and getting involved with the DYW as well. So just wanted to kind of give you some background on that and why as a business we're so passionate about it. So so that's kind of the backstory to why the HR booth get involved in some of this.
I think it's great to have advocates like yourself that are really living and breathing youth, supporting young talent in the workplace, and then getting involved in that school space as well, and helping shape the talent that Scotland's economy needs.
Yeah, definitely, I totally agree. And I think as well, if more employers were to get involved, because when I now go into schools, I'm thinking about our own business as well, and thinking, right, who's a potential candidate for us in the future, and building up that kind of talent pipeline. And that's what I say to some of our clients, that, take a similar approach. It's a bit like, I try to use the analogy, a bit like a kind of football manager, perhaps like scouting, looking at the next kind of players they want to sign. We'll have a look at the young people in the schools. Who's the potential talent that could suit your business? So the only way you're going to see that is being proactive and getting out in the school. So that's that. Yeah. So yeah, definitely an advocate of that, and something we try to promote. So yeah, good. So do you want to just tell me a little bit about the options that DYW kind of offer then? So what are the overall kind of services, the vision, and what you're trying to achieve?
Absolutely. So as I already mentioned, Developing the Young Workforce was launched in 2014, and it was launched at that point as Scotland's youth employment strategy. And the plan was to reduce youth unemployment and better connect employers to young people in schools, exactly what you've been talking about there. The focus was on supporting young people to develop the skills and attitudes and behaviours that we need in the world of work, not just today, but also in the future. So wind on 10 years later, we're still here, we're still doing this today. We've got a network of 20 employer-led regional groups across Scotland. And as you've said, you're connected to the Fife regional group. We've got another 19 of those. Wow. So we're really on the doorstep of every business across Scotland. And in every state secondary school, we have a DYW coordinator. Our work actually complements the careers information, advice and guidance work that's going on in schools with Skills Development Scotland, and it also sits alongside other organisations that are working in schools. But our unique offer is that offer to help facilitate those employer connections into the school and into the classroom. So our regional groups work with employers in their local areas. They create opportunities for young people to get engaged and be inspired about the world of work and the different careers and paths that exist. So for young people, that really helps them make more informed decisions about the subjects and about the next steps after school. On the flip side of that, because lots of benefits for young people. There's benefits to the business as well. So it does help employers tackle skills gaps, attract talent, deliver social impact, and have that community interaction that is important to many businesses.
Brilliant. So that's kind of fantastic to kind of hear, like obviously 20, employer-led regional kind of areas, but within that there's DYW coordinators in each of these schools as well. So that's like an incredible kind of achievement, and the work that the coordinators are doing in the schools with the young people, but also with the businesses in these regions as well. So that's kind of fantastic to hear that.
Yeah.
And kind of going off a little bit here, what kind of age group then would the DYW coordinator start engaging with young people, Michelle? Is it kind of more like S3, S4, or is it kind of before that, or does it kind of just depend on the school?
It will depend on the school. However, what we do know, and research tells us, that young people's ideas about careers are formed at a very young age, especially gender stereotypes around different sectors, different roles and occupations and careers. So there's work to be done really early on in primary school. So DYW activity does exist within that primary school age as well. However, our coordinators are in the secondary school space, and predominantly at the moment they are focused on S1 right up until S6. There'll be key work that goes on around subject choice and around pathways when young people are choosing their routes and pathways on leaving school as well. And you mentioned, Alistair, about helping with CVs, mock interviews and things like that. So there's critical points for a young person that you would be doing that, so more in that senior phase. And earlier on in the school, at S1 to S3, it's really about broadening young people's ideas and awareness, really inspiring them about, the jobs and the careers that are out there.
Yeah, brilliant. So that kind of leads on to my next question then, Michelle, is just around what are the kind of wider options to the kind of traditional pathway of school. So, I think historically a lot of chat around kind of university and kind of the world of work. Is that the same, or what does that kind of look like now?
I think it's really important to say now, and this is where the hashtag for our campaign day comes in, that's what is a right path for one young person isn't necessarily the right path for another young person. However, when I left school, I did choose to go and study sports science because my pal was going to study sports science. I couldn't think of anything else to do. And sometimes you just have to go with that opportunity that's presented in front of you. And, quite rightly so, as you said, mentioned university. And for a long time now, there's been a focus on university being the next step after school, and how some paths are referred to as being alternative. However, that language really needs to change, because the only path that's the right path is the one that's going to work for that individual. And sometimes the path that you take that first step on doesn't necessarily mean that that's the direction that you're going. It's one step at a time. It's not necessarily always laid out for you from that initial point. So there are many different steps after school these days. Apprenticeships have developed more routes into the world of work in many sectors. So what we might consider as an apprenticeship, an old, traditional apprenticeship in the trades and crafts, that has now expanded out to many other sectors. So think of creative industries, hospitality, IT, health and social care, project management, banking, HR, like you've mentioned apprenticeships already, but so many more. And there's a qualification that sits alongside of that. And actually, you can now do a graduate apprenticeship, which is a degree level apprenticeship in many of these sectors as well. And I do feel that whether it's college, apprenticeships, volunteering, training, setting up your own business, these options are profiled for young people to choose and select from. And it can be quite overwhelming to consider those choices and pathways. There is that support in school with the Skills Development Scotland Career Advisor to help young people make those decisions as well.
Brilliant. No, really good summary there. And I liked what you said there around the terminology, like the
Mm-hmm.
alternative. That is so true.
Yeah.
So great to hear that kind of message is, is hopefully kind of getting through to people as well. So yeah, really can appreciate that, what you've said there. You mentioned quite a bit there as well, Michelle. So how important do you think like kind of real life skills and experience beyond like academic, qualifications are important as well?
I think what we have now is that some organisations are absolutely still seeking qualifications at certain levels. Skills, however, are becoming more of a focus and extremely important for employers as well. And in the UK Employer Skills Survey that was published in 2022, the Scotland report said that employers reported having meta skills such as problem solving and communication as the most important factor when considering seeking new staff. What we do here from employers across Scotland through our networks, for young people, it's about having a positive attitude, having that will and that want to learn and develop, and being adaptable. Those are the key skills that employers are looking for. And those skills can be developed in the classroom, many other ways, through school, work experiences, clubs, volunteering, having a mentor, to name a few. So real life skills are extremely important and help with that. They're transferable into the world of work. So it should be a definite focus for young people as they're thinking about progression and development.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think back to my own kind of journey as well, 17, going into the workplace, surrounded by a lot of kind of role models. And I think, that's where you pick up a lot of your kind of life skills, as in the workplace. And I've seen that so often through my career with younger people that, either in their own business or that are for kind of clients. So, and I think we've also had feedback from people who've worked with some of our clients in the past where they've maybe went and got a university degree and then came into work, and I've actually kind of thought, never used any of that. I've actually learned more in the first few months in the job than I did 4 years at university. So quite often kind of hear that around life skills, interpersonal skills, and how to use probably some of the systems that they've probably not really used. So yeah, they've maybe went down the academic route, but in actual fact, getting into the workplace is where they kind of learn a lot of the kind of real on the job kind of skills as well. So yeah, good. And are there any kind of common misconceptions at all around like non-academic career path that you'd like to kind of share today?
I think going to university has always been hailed as this way to get the best jobs, and it's the way to succeed. What we see and what we have been seeing for many years is young people progressing through their own paths and taking up opportunities to go straight into employment or into college. Those can provide rewarding careers and can provide the stepping stones for people to develop. They are great stepping stones. And like university, it's what is going to work for that individual. So I think to bust that myth around university is the only way to success. It is one way, but there are many others, and they all hold their own weight in regards to offering young people that opportunity.
Yeah, brilliant. So true. Completely kind of resonate with that, actually. Great. And is there any support that employers can provide to DYW to kind of help you on your mission and what you're trying to achieve?
Oh, absolutely, Alistair. There's always support. We rely on employers to come into the classroom, to come into the schools and be part of DYW. We're employer-led, so that really drives what it is we're able to achieve. And getting started with DYW is simple. As I've mentioned, we've got those 20 regional groups and the coordinators. So it should be quite easy to make a connection with us. We do work with all sizes of businesses, right from your micros up to your multinational and your international. So, it's not really for us about one size fits all. We will work with employers of all scales, of all sizes, from across all sectors to find a way that you can engage. Best of all is that our services are absolutely free. So whether you can offer an hour or up to a day or even more time, there is ways to get involved. You can offer talks. You've mentioned a few things that you've been doing already, but offering talks, giving insight into your company or industry, workplace visits, mentoring, attending career events, getting involved in work placements and foundation apprenticeships. Having a chat with DYW will help you find that way that's going to work for you. And I'd absolutely love more employers to get involved to help shape the future workforce.
Brilliant, that's great, Michelle. What we'll do following the podcast, we'll kind of put a link into the DYW website as well, which is a good way for employers to kind of reach out, find some resources and make contact and just find out how they can get involved. So we'll make sure that's in the show notes and also in the description. So thanks for sharing that. And one last question from me is, what's the kind of one piece of advice that you could give a student who's considering their routes into the world of work?
I've got a son of my own who is thinking about routes into the world of work, so he's going to be getting his results as well. I'm one of those parents that will be waiting and supporting their child through this. Some advice that I would give: when I left school, I went to study sports at college, like I mentioned. I had no idea what I wanted to do, but it was the opportunity that presented itself to me at that particular time. And for me, it was a great first step, building my confidence, just getting me out there, keeping me active, doing something. I did work part-time throughout, and both of those have really helped open up doors for me and shape my attitude to the world of work that I have now. So my advice would be to be open to those opportunities that are presented, even if it's not exactly what you want to do, and do something, do it to the best of your ability, and it will help shape you and create opportunities for your next steps. And remember, there's no wrong path.
Brilliant. Great advice there, Michelle. Love that. And good luck for your son in the exam results tomorrow. So I'm in the same boat. I've got a son waiting on his Nat 5s tomorrow as well. So I know how you're feeling. So fingers crossed that all goes well. Great. So really good insight. I've really enjoyed chatting to you today, Michelle. Some good insights in terms of what you're doing, and I know a lot more about DYW and what employers can do. So really appreciate the time. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you. It's great to be involved.